week in our technical time, we are going to continue working on our technical body position as we talk about pressure, cover, and balance. We've mentioned this throughout the training so far this season, but we're going to continue to really drive it home. Some people say, hit the technical first and kind of go into more of the conceptual idea. I like to get the conceptual ideas down. That's what we've done several weeks of, what is pressure for balance, and now we're moving into the actual technical side. So the key technical thing to mention is that when you're putting pressure on the ball, you want to push that player towards your cover person. You want to have your head up, but you want to be bent over, and you want to have one foot forward and one foot back. Think basketball defensive position without using your hands, essentially, to try to help navigate that player to where you want them to be. Um, the key thing is that we want them to be in the right positions with their body so that they can maintain their balance and they can get to the right spots and they can get themselves in a position to break up, delay, or disrupt, right? Those are the two key elements. So for our first activity, we're going to just do, it's a one-on-one, and the player, remember, blues are always the player group we're focusing on. Reds are not. It doesn't mean we can't talk to the red player, but our blue is the side we're focusing on. And this is just a U.S. soccer standard. That's why we do that. Um, Player one is going to be slowly dribbling at an angle, one direction. Blue's job is to put pressure properly on the outside here, and this player needs to then move with the ball and rotate, and then they need to move with them and put pressure. Player red one is never trying to go real fast. Let some kid go real fast, slow them down instantly. It's weaving, right? They're weaving up the field, across the field, essentially. They're working on getting over into the correct position to force them to the middle, and get their bodies and movements in the right space. They will go down and they will come back in that same group, and then these players will swap. So in this case, we're still focused on, in this case, red, but blue would go down and back. If you need more room because of player numbers, you can start a group, start 6 players on one side, and you could do up to 6 players here on the other side as a starting point and have them work against each other. This will cause field awareness to occur because now they have to be worried about what's happening behind them as well. This player can see it, this player can't, so they'll need to be hopefully checking their blind spots into the space. But if your numbers don't dictate that you need to divide them out, I say if you get maybe more than 8 groups on a side, I'd split them and make it 8, maybe do 4 on one side, 4 on the other, and do it, but they'll go down and back. So that's the first set of things they're going to be doing. All right, after we go down and back, we'll move our players into groups of 3. We will have, again, a dribbler weaving. And what's going to happen now is we're going to pressure or cover in good positional bodies. So both players should be basically getting their bodies sideways. They should be looking at their distances from the ball, making it good, their depth from each other, and getting the angles correctly and communicating with each other. So ideally what will happen is this player will dribble. Player 1 will come and pop in, and this player will change direction, never trying to steal the ball. And then player 2 is going to cut that angle off, and player 1 is going to drop in. So what we're trying to add now is this concept of constant movement between these two players as they work together and come up with the ball, hopefully communicating with their words. I've got the ball, so as soon as that person switches it up, this person reads the situation and brings the pressure, brings the cover back. And again, go down and back, and then have all 3 of these players rotate so that everyone basically gets to do it once down. I think it'll probably take 4 or 5 minutes to get through this cycle of these. The last rotation then is to bring in the pressure, the cover, and the balance. So the activity will work the same way with this player dribbling and this player putting pressure, and as this person changes direction, them tweaking and this person dropping off. So whoever's in the cover position initially, their main task is to look at proper distance. In the balance position, I think I said cover, is to stay mentally engaged, stay in the proper position. Their job is to see the big picture of what's happening around them. They need to be aware of their opponent and the spacing. And they need to basically be moving. Again, body language still needs to seem the same. in the right movement with a foot forward, head over feet, but they're constantly just tracking back and moving backwards so that they can work on that backwards movement. So that'll be the 3 rotations that we do for this activity.